Minecraft is a game where you collaborate with friends and build amazing and unique structures. In the process of doing so, you make connections, friends, and most importantly, have fun. At least that's how it is for most players. However, for me and another offset of players, we enjoy the more dangerous playstyle, focused mainly around destruction. And so the question stands, what is the best form of PvP in 1.18? The answer to this is, well, it depends. You see, not all items are available at that time, so you have to make do with what you got. Personally, I see Minecraft as split into 5 distinct stages: the early game, the early mid-game, the mid-game, the mid-end game, and finally, the end game. You might be wondering what kind of PvP styles can be found within each of these stages. Well, luckily enough, the 1.9 community has done most of the work for us, even structuring a tier list to rank the best players. Therefore, we will be going off their kits in order to chronologically order our rankings. So my friends, without further ado, let's get into the first stage, the early game. We've just started into a new Minecraft server, and now we are in the early game. What's the first thing you do? Well, punch trees and get wood, obviously. Now since we're talking about the early game, we have to list the materials we should have access to. Within the first 20 minutes of playing, you should have at least a full set of iron armor, an iron axe, and an iron sword. And if you kill enough spiders and skeletons, possibly even a bow and arrow. This style of PvP is known as axe shield PvP. Essentially, it mainly revolves around using your axe for the majority of fighting, since not only does it disable shields, but also deals massive amounts of damage due to the lack of armor at this stage. You may have seen this kid in Dream's Manhunt, where most of the video takes place in this stage, as no real progression is made other than to kill the Ender Dragon. Strategic movements are encouraged, such as backstabs, punish crits, fake outs, and crit chaining, if you are able to disable the opponent's shield. During this stage of the game, shields are your best friends, as they are the only way of taking less damage. Therefore, you should do everything in your power to use it to your advantage. Alright, so you've been playing for a bit longer. You're now in the early mid-game. Instead of having iron armor, you have diamond, and in addition to that, you have access to a few more items such as a lava bucket, crossbow, and maybe even some golden apples. The difference these two items make are immense, as they directly allow you to be more aggressive and push without having to worry about dying so easily. With higher level armor, you can last longer in fights, and with golden apples, heal more easily. Take into consideration that you have access to things such as cobwebs, TNT, and other random items. In this stage, almost like UHC, you are still revolving around the spine of Axe Shield PvP, however with a few extra steps. Everything from the last steps still apply. However, learning to trap your opponents with lava buckets and cobwebs in order to dish out a bit more damage is essential in surviving in this stage. Essentially, one smart move can make or break a fight in this, so strategy above all should be prioritized. Use the terrain to your advantage, make your enemies take unnecessary damage, and most importantly, trap your opponents. After this stage, we reach the mid-game. This can be kinda lumped together with the mid-end game as the playstyles are extremely similar. In this stage, the most effective way of dishing out damage is by using potions. By using strength 2 and speed, you're able to become a much more fierce opponent. Add on to that you have a sizable amount of golden apples, and you are basically unkillable. Around the mid-game, you should have at least done one raid. This means that you have a totem of undying. Automatically, axes become almost obsolete, as totems are a much easier way of dealing damage to your opponent while not having to worry about dying. Axes only really become useful when there is still someone who's using a shield at this point. However, in this case, having a totem puts you at an obvious advantage. Diamond armor with max enchants is reasonable to have at this stage as you progress far into the game, possibly already of killing the Ender Dragon. Being fast with hotkeys is essential in this stage, as you must be able to switch to heals and the sword at decent speed. Next, we enter the mid-game. Here, we basically have the same as the previous, using potions and gapples as the primary way of getting an edge over the opponent. However, the main difference I would like to point out is by this time you should have netherite. Now, netherite may not sound like much of a difference. However, netherite introduces a new factor to consider, that is, knockback resistance. Now, knockback resistance may either be your best friend or your worst enemy. Knockback resistance basically makes comboing impossible, as you take considerably less KB with each hit. In this style of PvP, crit spamming and strategic gambling is the way to win fights. Aim becomes extremely important, as one missed shot may completely turn the tide of a fight, leaving you to continuously heal yourself over and over until you eventually run out and die. But what if I could tell you there is a way to avoid this problem? Well, fret not, my fellow sword mains, as combos are still viable in this form of PvP. As of 1.18.2, Mojang fixed a bug that plagued Minecraft PvPers ever since netherite was introduced. Inconsistent knockback no longer exists in modern versions of Minecraft. Now what does that mean? Obviously, even with consistent knockback, we don't deal nearly enough KB to keep a long combo. However, with the Knockback 1 enchantment, we are able to deal enough KB to combo opponents just like in Diamond. The difference between Diamond KB and Netherite KB is slightly noticeable, however, it is still effective in doing combos, meaning that as long as you have Knockback 1 sword, you're able to keep the same playstyle as you did in the previous stage. Netherite Pot is the name of this playstyle, and now we must move on to the final stage. In the endgame, the main playstyle most people opt for is the vanilla PvP. Essentially, anything goes for the style of PvP, and the main weapon of choice is the End Crystal. To effectively use a crystal, you must have the enemy's feet at the same Y level as the crystal itself. This means using your sword to get your opponent in the air and quickly placing an obsidian and crystal to deal damage. This technique is called hit crystalling, and is the bread and butter of modern crystal PvP. Arrows to put slow falling can also make this easier, but mastering this technique allows you to kill a player in full netherite in just a couple of clicks. Now with this style, you are most definitely going to die. Therefore, it is vital that you bring a sufficient amount of totems to sort of outlast your opponent, or at least be quick enough to kill them before they're able to equip another totem. Another item that is useful are respawn anchors. They are placed at the same Y level as players, and although they do less damage, you can create holes that allow you to get the low ground and more easily deal damage with the crystal. Now this stage is called the endgame for a reason, as farming end crystals, obsidian, and totems can take a very long time, and will most likely require you to have a lot of materials already beforehand. However, there is one thing you should take and consider after watching this video. Crystals can be used in any stage of the game, and in fact, if you can get a crystal before anyone gets a totem, you can instantly one-shot a player. Sure, it may feel cheap, but in Minecraft, you must do whatever it takes to survive in the deadliest Minecraft essence. If you learned anything from this video, then I implore you to hit that like button. And if you want more videos like this relating to PvP content, consider subscribing, as it helps my channel grow and it fixes my undoubtedly amazing upload schedule. Anyways, until next time, I'm Saline, and I still hope you die.